there really something in my son's bedroom? My oldest son is 8 years old and has an amazing imagination, so for the longest time I disregarded his stories about his room. His room is on the second floor of our house. There is a living room dividing his room from my youngest son's bedroom. Don't know if that is relevant info. Ever since we moved here about 2 years ago, he has been complaining about seeing and hearing things in his room now and again. He gives vivid descriptions of the sounds and creatures. Sounds includes footsteps, sighs, moving of things. Creatures include a dark owl-like figure sitting outside the window, glowing eyes, claws, and it started growing until it completely covered the window, and just disembodied glowing eyes in the corner of the room. Last night he was terrified, and he came downstairs like 5 times, complaining about seeing small lizard-esque animals out of the corner of his eyes and hearing the sound of a walkie-talkie that nobody is speaking into, so like static. So I told him to take our spare mattress and go sleep in his brother's room. Nothing ever happens when he sleeps in there, and he feels safer with someone in the room. After a while it gets silent up there, and I felt he fell asleep. So about half an hour later I hear legs being moved around and some bumps and movement, so I called up the stairs to him to go to sleep. It was late, I was tired and annoyed. I then start my night routine in the bathroom and there is silence upstairs, so I settle in bed and close my eyes. Not even 5 minutes later I hear him calling me mom, and so I decide to finally go up there and calm him down / turn on some lights. I get up there, into the room, and both boys are fast asleep, snoring, open mouths and drooling. I have a moment of confusion, looking around the room, and wondering what the hell. I decide that I was just hearing things and turn around to go downstairs. Standing in the doorway of youngest son's room I can see straight into oldest son's room and I see looking glowing eyes in there. I close the door into the boys, turned on the flashlight on my phone, put my brave face on, and walked to his door, only to find an empty room. So I went downstairs, went to bed, and thought about everything else he has seen and heard. Him going back and forth about what happened last night, but what really gets me is something looking calling me using my son's voice. Him scared poopless GBH, and thinking about telling my husband when he wakes up. He works nights. But honestly guys, what the luck is happening in my son's bedroom? Ghost balloon. This happened on the night of my 14th birthday and 20 years later I still remember it like it just happened. I had all my presents from the party I had earlier in the corner of my room, which included one of those helium-filled foil balloons that was floating. I was in bed, opposite side of the room from where the balloon was, and in that state where you're not quite awake, but not quite asleep either. It was then that I heard a scraping sound. I opened my eyes and looked toward where I heard the sound coming from. The corner of my room with the presents and balloon. The balloon was starting to slowly make its way toward my bed while scraping against the ceiling. Now there was no fan or heating or vents or anything that would make the balloon move on its own the way it was. It was making a beeline for my bed. At this point I'm sitting up in my bed terrified but frozen in place, just watching it making its way closer to me. It finally gets about 2 feet away from me, stops and bobs up and down 3 times like someone is pulling on the string. At that point I'm still utterly terrified, but not frozen anymore and run like hell out of my room and into my parents' room. I told my mom what happened and she just calmly walked into my room, popped the balloon, threw it out, and told me to go back to sleep. I didn't sleep that night, but nothing else out the ordinary happened. I still wonder who or what did that to the balloon. Paranormal encounter? So let's just get right to it. My mom believes in the supernatural, while my dad never did. My room used to be my dad's old office and gaming room. My mom never liked to have the door to that room open when she was alone. She would say it feels like I'm being watched, and I get the feeling as if it's a man. She never told me this since I was just 4 or 5 at the time. But after a few months of me having the room to my mum's horror I would say I feel like there is someone watching me from the corner. I don't remember saying it because I was so young. But there was nothing we could do, so I lived with it till I was about 12 and it started to become worse. I would hear knocking on my door and answer only to find nobody there. Some days I would hear someone say my name, and it could get so noisy I would yell, "Can you please stop or please quiet down?" always trying to be polite. I really didn't want to make whatever was doing everything angry, But one night, when I was home alone, it had been very quiet for a while. I was sitting in front of my computer with headphones on. They were Bluetooth headphones. I felt a big hand grab the top of my head and rip my head backwards, grabbing the headphones while doing so. I almost fell off my chair cause of it. I even heard my neck crack. Angry, I turned around about to confront whoever did it, but nobody was there, and my headphones were smashed on the other side of the room. Terrified, I went to see if anyone had gotten home, but nobody was there. I still don't know what happened that night, so I would like to hear what you think. I never really believed in stuff like that, but now I'm not so sure.